Now in the book that kind of started this whole series, there's an incredible story. It's a short story, but I want to pull this out, and I want to share the story with us real quick. Most of you, if I say the name Billy Graham, most people know today who Billy Graham is. Incredible evangelist approaching the final months or years of his life. But it's an incredible evangelist, maybe the best evangelist the world has ever seen. Most people know Billy Graham, but most people do not know a guy by the name of Charles Templeton. Charles Templeton was kind of a co-worker with Billy Graham. He had some of the same talents and abilities, and he was part of the movement that Billy Graham was first a part of back in the late 1940s. He was a close friend, a preaching associate, did a lot with Billy Graham. But as they approached kind of that big season of their life, Charles Templeton had started kind of walking away from the faith. He started to have a bunch of questions. And those questions, he eventually resigned from ministry, said, I'm renouncing the Christian faith and becoming an agnostic. And in fact, he wrote a book called Farewell to God, My Reasons for Rejecting the Christian Faith. But then a few years back at the age of 83, Charles Templeton was interviewed about his life and about spirituality. And he said this. He was interviewed about Jesus, and the people were surprised at his response. Charles Templeton said this about Jesus. He was the greatest human being who ever lived. He was a moral genius. His ethical sense was unique. He was the intrinsically wisest person that I've ever encountered in my life or in my readings. He's the most important thing in my life. Now, this is an agnostic who renounced his faith. He says, he's the most important thing in my life. I know it may sound strange, but I have to say, I adore him. Everything good I know, everything decent I know, everything pure I know, I learned from Jesus. He's the most important human being who has ever existed. And then he said this, which surprised everyone. He says, and if I may put it this way, I miss him. For every one of us, there's a story. And the truth is, even if today we think we're strong, if we think, man, I got my faith figured out and I'm standing firm in my faith, there's this gravitational pull to lean on our understanding, to do things our way. So much so that even people who we would consider giants in the faith can walk away and make a mess, and still there's a call of the Father to say, it doesn't matter how much you've messed up, I invite you back. I want to welcome you home. Augustine, the early church father, put it this way. You made us for yourself, and our hearts find no peace until they rest in you. God, this is the very reason why we've been created. It's for that call home, that return home. And once we realize that, two things happen in our life. Number one, we run with everything we have into the arms of a loving Father who says, it doesn't matter how much you've messed up, I invite you to reconciliation. And along the way, once I discover the pureness of that joy, once I discover the satisfaction that comes with recognizing that position in Christ, I say, not only do I want reconciliation for myself, man, I want as many people as I know to experience this level of reconciliation, because once I've been welcomed home by the Father, I want everyone else to experience the exact same thing. To realize I can't do this alone. And I cry in the midst of my brokenness, God, I need your help.